Hello everybody, welcome back to P7. This is my first week clear of this. Came in late at the end of the first week. I was hoping the strats would get a little bit better since then, but they've all been scuffed since then, so let's just go ahead and review the first one. Kicking things off, make sure you have your tank stance on. Obviously, if you've been in this fight, you'll know that these auto attacks are going to hurt. For the first AoE and bleed, always pop your Shake It Off or a group mitigation. I recommend coordinating with the tank buster before the fight to plan out who's going to reprisal during those bleeds and who's going to reprisal during tank busters. In this fight, I'm going to be doing both on the bleeds, and my co-partner is going to be doing the reprisal on the tank busters. It works out really well. I like to step forward in the middle to share, and then split to the sides to split. It's like a non-verbal dance. What you're going to find is this fight is all about pre-positioning and communication, so you're just going to move forward. Just run to that corner as the normal mechanics work out. Should be no problems with your uptime. I do recommend popping Bloodwetting here whenever it's up. For some reason, a lot of healers will struggle at this point because there's so much outgoing damage and they're still trying to get their rotations and intros going out. So just do a little bit of self-care at this point. Get to the middle of the bridge and be ready to do the next mechanic. So you'll note here I'm just looking for that first spot where I see the egg in the correct position and then move into my spot. Pretty easy, simple, and straightforward. We'll take the opportunity now before the next Tank Buster to talk about how we're splitting up our mitigations for Tank Busters. So as you're aware, this fight can be randomly shared or split Tank Busters. The same mitigation pattern will work for both of them. So in the first Tank Buster, no matter if it's shared or split, I'm popping Thrill of Battle and Rampart. It gives me a good amount of mitigation while saving Vengeance, 30%, for the second one. And then you just alternate throughout the rest of the fight. If you pop Bloodwetting at the same time and have Reprisal up, you're going to be fine. You're going to recover up quick and get back to full health. And once you're back at full health, you're in good shape. So this is a good time to think about where you're headed here. We're going to take the spread stack first. So I'm in the middle, but I immediately move up to the north part of that platform to get ready for the move. Move is left. And you'll notice pretty much a straight line to where I want to go. That's the rule of this fight. Go in straight lines, try to go exactly where you plan to be, and let everyone else know that, hey, this is where I'm headed. If I'm right, this is good. If I'm wrong, we got to figure this out. So this is a Tank Buster again coming up. I prefer to stay on the platform where we had initially been. Whenever we repositioned after the previous mechanic, it just keeps things clean. I think there's probably some better spots for healer uptime. Maybe they don't have to move as far forward, but also I've had a lot of casters kind of stick around that spot. I come back for heals, but then I'm going to roll right back out to that platform because I'm group 1. The goal here is to pre-position for the bird knockback. You're going to have casters that are going to be liking to be in their exact spots. As a melee DPS and a tank to boot, you can take the harder positions. So this is a good time to get in that little spot for tube or B. Those are great spots for tanks to be in because you still have enough time to adjust and you can kind of take a couple hits and not worry too much about it. We're going to go into our healer stack mechanics next. This is the first point of the fight where I'll mention here's a recovery strat. Tanks can invuln and share stacks, and it will actually save the party if things are really bad in this situation. Try to avoid it, obviously, but again, sprint's your best friend here. If you need to move to a different platform or move to a different stack, you do have enough time. This is another position where I recommend dropping our Shake It Off here. That extra little bit of a shield is going to go a long way to take these hits. Retreat to your south platform and get ready to step up once those AEs go off. I know you can position up a little bit forward, but I like to be at the end of the boss's hitbox. You have plenty of time. Again, this fight is about pre-positioning and knowing where to run, so as long as you're prepared, I'm in the center of the platform, and I roll over to this other one. Done. So coming up next is another Tank Buster. It is what it is. Not much more to say about these. The rest of this fight, to me, is all about pointing my camera in the right direction. So I'm going to try to explain where I'm looking at each time as these mechanics are going off. So we're going to move into this Forbidden Fruit. And I move it so that the yak is to the south of me. That way I can quickly move if I need to be a yak tether and pull south. If I need to bait those in the opposite direction, I can be there. The long tethers, you have a lot of time. So you're totally safe. I think that's the best position, at least for me, for this mechanic. Yeah, this is healer stacks. There's really not much I can say about this. You knock back where the healers want to go. They'll usually say if they want to stack north or west or south. I don't prefer south because it can be an uptime. But if you kind of skirt the edge of the boss's hitbox, there is this safe spot right there that you can look at and stand in, and everything's fine. Another tank buster. From here on out, you can basically use your self mitigations as needed. There are mechanics that could benefit from those as you go forward, but keep an eye on your hit bar and toss them out if you're taking a little bit too much abuse. Yeah, that's the end of the big tank busters. I hope I got the timeline right. This one here is an ugly split on the tethers. So our group did the pull tethers far apart and crisscross across the arena, but between these two guys, there's plenty of room. I mean, look at that. It went right through them. They were aware and adjusted. It could have been a little nasty if people weren't paying attention, but it's the benefit of working with a group that has already gone through this many, many times to try to get this clear. So shake it off, run up immediately to the upper left. That seems to be where people like to congregate nowadays. And then we're going to move on into Purgation. So this is everybody's favorite. This is the first week, so I think this is like 2 or 3 days after the Sleepo Purgation came out. Had become kind of the norm already at that point, and going into week 4 right now as I'm recording this, it still seems to be the standard, de facto standard. So it's, you're looking for that upper platform, the northwest and northeast that has the bird on it. If there's both of the birds, everyone goes to the left. And then you just do your mechanics. I quickly kind of scan my debuffs. I fill in any blanks with stacks that I need to fill in and just kind of call them out. What you can't hear, because I'm not recording my mic while I'm doing this, is I'm actually saying this out loud. I was saying, what is it? Spread, stack, stack, spread. And then every time I'd lose one, I'd just go to the next one. So I'm saying it out loud, and then as I'm running, immediately run into my spot. I think it helps, especially if you're in one of those groups where every one of the supports has a marker over their head. And this one, we only have the healers with those. But if you see all the markers stacking in one spot and you don't know which one you are, it's a pretty good obvious tell. So being confident, standing where you need to stand, it's just going to help set the tempo of this fight and help keep everyone else organized. Do recommend splitting up some mitigations between these two raid wides that come on this fight. This second one is kind of the big one. This is where I see a lot of parties run out of gas, so definitely you want to reprisal and group mitigate that one, throw Shake It Off on there. In this situation, I couldn't tell, I wasn't really looking that closely if the other tank did a reprisal on one of those. I don't think they did, but usually that first one, everyone else's group mitigations are going off, so it'll balance out if you don't have organization. This is a dumb bait mechanic part of the fight. I don't really even know why this is in the fight. It's so unusual compared to the rest of it, but hey, why not? We'll do the chasing AoEs and handle this mechanic. The good point is this does get to show the south mechanic on this, where you will go and try to skirt the edge of the boss's hitbox rather than going straight as you would in the other directions. It's minor uptime, but it is uptime. Okay, well, let's get into the next harvest. Looking for the 2 spots with the 2 eggs and not the 3 that's where I like to start things off. You notice this bait comes out really quick. Sprint your best friend here. I didn't need it, but sometimes you kind of do. Those are some really fast AoEs to bait and run out on. The tethers are actually a lot more forgiving. You will need, if you are by yourself as a tank, probably some self-mitigation there because you're going to be far away from your healers, so be ready to pop any self-healings you have. Again, this is another pre-positioning type of situation. So you look for the yak, you get in that corner. We're doing the JP braindead harvest here. This is still something where I see a lot of parties shifting over to it, and I think it's going to become the standard if it's not already. But it seems to work fairly well with the static positions, and the timing on the invuln there is a little bit unusual. There's not a good indicator to be able to say that, so it's sometime during the situation after the eggs have hatched and you see the monsters, that's when I'll toss it out there. Check the timing on this video, it seems to work. Once again, yeah, I always put the yak to my back. no pun intended, or no rhyme intended, really. That way I can quickly adjust. So I'm over here in the corner here. When doing the all-far Wars Harvest, which is what we did there, do remember that quote-unquote southern spot that is on the diagram, you do have to make sure that you're not clipping the southern tank with that AE. Check the latest diagrams out there. People have been commenting that the initial ones that were out there did not give an actual accurate position. Our group was solid and went over the strats, so we'd adjusted at that point. From here on out, just about everything is repeat. So you get another healer stack. I don't usually mitigate on this one because I'm saving my mitigations for the last two parts of the fight. Those last two raid wides before Enrage usually are where everyone's going to DPS as hard as they can, and throwing some mitigations out is good. So saving a reprisal for the first one and then your big mitigation for the second one, or vice versa. Just make sure you have something in the tank. But let's go straight on into closing comments. So this fight is all about pre-positioning. Hopefully in this video you've been able to see kind of how I look at the fight and move my camera around, but it's important for you to visualize and see where things are happening. That way you can adjust. For mitigations, split those group mitigations between tanks. Have a plan when you're coming into the fight, or at least figure it out on the fly as you're going through the fight. Have a rotation for your single mitigations as well. You'll notice that's something I'm saying every single fight this tier because it's really important. There's so many big hits that are coming your way that knowing what you can pop and when is really important. For this fight though, sprint is your #1 best friend. Have it in a convenient spot because you're going to need it occasionally to make some quick adjustments, especially if things aren't 100% up to the diagram. With this DPS check right now, it's hard enough. Lastly, something that didn't come up in this video, but I got to make sure I mention, provoke after dying. This boss will target the first two people on the DPS meter, and if you die as a tank, you got to get back up there really quick. So as soon as you get enough health to take a couple hits, get that Voke out and take that aggro. All right, this is a pretty straightforward fight mechanics-wise, but hopefully everyone's had a chance to explore it and enjoy it, and hopefully get your clears. We'll be swinging on through into P7S shortly this week, and I hope to see you then. Have a nice day.